The temperature hit 115 degrees. The mirage-making heat turned the flat scrub to a shimmering lake. A signpost told me I was 3 miles from Sherlock. I wrote, Kazan was here, in pencil, on the back of it, hoping, as years passed and I travelled around, Kazan would become a non-urban legend. Other hitchers would leave their names as well as messages. The sun was so hot that a crow flew down and walked in my shadow. The little town of Sherlock had 8 buildings. An ancient lady in a dusty, dark general store sold me a 6-penny ice cream in a square cone. The tar on the road was melting from the sun. I crossed over to a small railway siding next to a shed with stacks of hay bales. The shade invited me in, so I checked for hidden snakes, took off my sweaty shoes and lay down. I worried. The knees of my jeans are getting baggy from sleeping in them. Some nosy copper might see them and know that I'm sleeping out. Before 1972, when the Labor Party introduced civil liberties to Australia, it was a crime to be a vagrant. If you had no means of support and no postal address, you could get a few months' jail. I contemplated, I'd better train myself to sleep with legs straight. I'll invent a new yoga position called straight-legged traveller. I drifted off to sleep. A rough voice woke me up. Hey mate, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. So what you doing, mate? Just having a rest. I'm on my way home to Pinaroo. That was the next town up the road. If I told him I was going long distance, he might give me a lecture about the dangers of hitchhiking. This bloke was big. He looked 35, was going bald, and invited me to lunch. So I leapt at the offer, and he accelerated his old truck across the scrub. I hung onto the dashboard. His blue-heeler dog sniffed to check if I'd been near dogs in the last week, but found no scent. We crossed over some cattle grids and stopped in a cloud of dust. In the yard, 3 bony goats turned and looked at us, then went back to watching a half-inch of water in the bottom of a kid's wading pool. The kitchen was dark. He threw me some tobacco. Row yourself a racehorse, mate. You want a beer? Love one, I said. Thanks, man. Call me Gary, mate. He opened a beer and drank with gusto, and opened another before I'd finished mine. Then he burped, big. I tried to drink fast so he wouldn't think me a punk kid. He asked, You got a girlfriend? I hated that question. Didn't I look the type that got girls? Sure have, I lied. What's her name? Janet, I lied. Why was he coming closer? I searched my eyes around. Above the sink on a rack were 6 large butcher knives. He went on, Have you fucked her yet? He seemed to drool. Course I have, I lied. Gary was bugging me, and so were the knives. Adrenaline pumped my system. Would he rape me and then cut me up? Or cut me up, then rape me? He smirked. Come here, mate. You're going to love it. I walked to the sink and grabbed a knife and tried to look tough. No one was going to shove anything in my beatnik bum. Gary didn't look worried. With a defensive stance, I readied for battle. They're good knives, aren't they? He said. They're made of Sheffield steel, unbreakable, never go blunt. He walked to a doorway. Come here and cop what I got. I took a wary look inside. On bookshelves and stacked on chairs were piles of 78 RPM records. Oh, wow! Oh, shit! I knelt in reverence and shuffled through a few. Gary smiled. He said, They're hillbilly. I've been collecting them ever since me dad died. He had 60, but now I've built him up to about 200. I forgot knives and rape and killing. All night I read through the titles, playing them on his wind-up gramophone. There was Cowboy Copus, Alabama, a great Cumberland Gap, yodelers, and a Mary Snyder who played a Snyderphone. He had 14 Jimmy Rogers tracks. He had bluegrass from the 30s, country swing, and we sang along with Chad Morgan, the sheik of Scrubby Creek, an Aussie, middle-of-the-road Aussie country singer with a terrible voice that sounded amateurish compared to the American country and western. We sang and stuffed ourselves with cornflakes and cups of tea, because that was the only food he had in the house. I woke on the couch next day with a hangover from hell and vowed never to drink again. Gary stumbled out looking for a hair from the dog that bit him and moaning about having no Aspros. That's aspirin, Australian aspirin. I made him cups of tea so he could drive me to the highway. "Here's £2 to help you get to Pinaroo," he said, and drove off, holding his forehead. The monks and nuns I'd read about in Zen Flesh, Zen Bones made me want to be like them. I was obsessed by their humour-filled wisdom. I also would be a saint, and my master, teacher, would be any Buddhist book that neutral fate led me to stumble across. Some warned that Zen could lead to madness. That made it more of a challenge. One particular anecdote was 20 monks and one nun named Ishun were practicing meditation. Ishun was pretty, though her head was shaved. Several monks secretly fell in love with her. One wrote her a love letter asking for a private meeting. She did not reply. The following day, the master gave a lecture. When it was over, Ishun arose. Addressing the class, she said, "If you really love me, embrace me now." I took the lesson to be, if there's only one woman in a room full of men, have the guts to try and pick her up. Chapter 11, Wagga Wagga. Over the South Australia-Victoria border, I came to Ouyen, Ouyen. I'd never noticed it on a map before, and the dry sunset looked like it was painted by Salvador Dali. A blood-orange sun sunk out of sight, so I spent Gary's money on a rooming house and got into bed and studied Yu Tang's Art of Loving chapter. When I found a girlfriend, I needed to know my stuff. I dozed off and awoke to bashing on the door. "We don't do breakfast after 9 a.m, so come out now." In the kitchen, I ate a lot and stuffed more into my bag. The town was quiet, no people around. The road split 3 ways. Shall I go east to Sydney or south to Melbourne? A semi-trailer came along heading east, so fate chose. Country rock blared out of the radio, but truck noise almost drowned it. The driver yelled, "Where you heading, mate?" It was time for my usual lie. "Wagga Wagga," I hollered. The great city of Wagga Wagga is pronounced by the whole world except me, Wagga, just one word. And I got it wrong, see, because on the maps it said Wagga Wagga. The bloke was smiling, so I thought, what a nice fella. This'll be a pleasant ride. "Do you live in Wagga Wagga?" he screamed. I yelled back, "Yeah, lived there all my life. Been working at Lameroo." He sped along, cutting corners and singing with the radio. I was proud of the way I imitated singers, so I joined in. At Tooleybuck, he bought us pies and beer and asked if I'd help unload at Balranald. I said, "Okay." The one thing bad about travelling poor is having to hurry to the next city that had a soup kitchen. I vowed to try harder to get money. I saw the wide River Murray as the radio played Johnny Horton's Battle of New Orleans. I sang along. When I got to, along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi, a vision of my Mississippi, the Murray River, flashed into my head, and I longed to camp under weeping willows and raft downstream. Someday I would. But at Balranald there'd be hard work, so I sat back and absorbed energy from the universe. We pulled into Balranald, and the driver groaned, "Oh, bugger me, it's 6 o'clock and the forklift's gone home." He walked around undoing knots, and I saw what I'd promised to unload. 300 cartons of sultanas. Each weighed 25 kilograms.
Yeah, I was hitchhiking on this
Okay, that'll
Texas
do
road.
for tonight.
Along come this truck, semi-trailer. Got a big load on the back. Fella asked me if I'm going to Amarillo. So I says, "Oh, yeah, maybe." I climbs in the cab, I settles down inside it. Then he asked me, some fool thing, "Have you ever seen a road with so much dust and sand?" I said, "Yeah, been traveling every road in this here land." Now, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Crossed the deserts in my bare feet, man. Breathe the mountain air, man. Slept with a bear in a cave. I've been everywhere. Been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Cocktail, Ballard, Paddle, Armakill. I've been everywhere, man. Had lots of chicks too, man. Drove rigs bigger than this. Breathed mountain air. Travel, I had my share, man. Been everywhere. Been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana, Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallahassee, Den Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Hennessy, Chicopee, Spirit Lake, Grand Lake, Devil's Lake, Red Lake, for Pete's sake. I've been everywhere. Yeah, drove stock cars. Breathe the mountain air. I can breathe underwater if I want to. I've been meditating. I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, Oka, back up to Sheffield, Jacksonville, Waterville, Costa Rica, Pittsfield, Springfield, Bakerfield, Shreveport, Hackensack, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport, Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Dalmatina, Pasadena, Catalina. See what I mean? I've been everywhere, man. Yeah. Had lots of chicks. They pay me. Yeah, travel, I had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Pittsburgh, Parkenburg, Gravelburg, Colorado, Ellisburg, Rexburg, Vicksburg, Eldorado, Illinois, Alamo, Havisham, Chandler, Chicka, Nebraska, Alaska, Oka, Powder, Waterloo, Columbus, Sioux, Kansas City, Sioux City, Cedar City, Dodge City. What a pity, I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. I ain't want to stop for a piss. Stop up here for a piss. Yeah, travel, I had my share, man. Hey, you look like a sissy. You got them frills on your window. You want to kiss me for $10? Yeah, I've been everywhere. Man, yeah, I've been everywhere. Hey, buddy, stop for a piss. Get the fuck out of my truck. No, man. You get the fuck out of my truck, 'cause I found your gun under my seat.